This is the digital channel of the General Overseas Service of All India Radio. I am Manoj Mainkar, and in the next half hour, I'll bring to you news updates from India and around the world, awareness videos on coronavirus by Government of India, and a lot more. We'll begin with the news updates.
This is the General Overseas Service of All India Radio. Namaskar. The news snippets. Read by Maria Albina Michael. 17,51,555 people have recovered from COVID-19 in the country till now. Recovery rate is 71.17%. 55,573 people have recovered in the last 24 hours. In the last 72 hours, more than 1,67,000 people have recovered. India has ramped up testing for COVID-19 throughout the country. 8,48,728 tests were conducted in the past 24 hours. The President of India, Mr. Ramnath Kovind, addressed the nation today on the eve of India's 74th Independence Day. The address was broadcast live on All India Radio Network. India will celebrate its 74th Independence Day tomorrow. The national tricolour will be unfurled by Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the ramparts of the historic Red Fort in Delhi. Prime Minister would also be addressing the nation after hoisting the national flag. 2 policemen were killed in an indiscriminate firing by terrorists near Naugam, Jammu and Kashmir. Security forces have cordoned off the area and a search operation is on. India and Maldives held virtual talks. India has agreed to support Maldives' Greater Malay Connectivity Project with funding of $400 million, including line of credit. The 2 countries have agreed to have air bubble services. India and Nigeria have signed a MOU for cooperation in use of outer space for peaceful purposes. It also envisages collaboration on space science, planetary exploration, and development of satellites. The first phase of clinical trials for India's COVID-19 vaccine, Covaxin, being developed by Bharat Biotech and ICMR has ended. Preliminary results suggest it is safe. The phase 2 of clinical trials will start in September. In a landmark move, UAE and Israel have decided to normalize relations. This was announced by US President Donald Trump. The historic diplomatic breakthrough could advance peace in the Middle East. Brazil, already reeling under the COVID-19 pandemic, has seen a new outbreak of forest fires in the vulnerable Amazon. The incidents of fire in Amazon have jumped by 30% in the last 2 years. And that is the end of the news snippets. This is the General Overseas Service of All India Radio. Rabindranath Tagore is one of the greatest poets of India. His poem, Where the Mind is Without Fear, was written during the period when India was struggling for freedom from the British rule. It was a part of Gitanjali, a compilation of all his poems which was published in English in 1912. In his poem, Rabindranath Tagore expresses his love for his country and prays to the Almighty for its well-being. In his prayer, the poet says that his countrymen should not live in fear anymore and must do away with the evils of society. They must live with respect, dignity, honesty, and perfection. He prays to God for the freedom of his beloved nation. On the occasion of India's 74th Independence Day, let us relive the idea of freedom as envisaged by Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore in his poem, Where the Mind is Without Fear.
15th August 1947 is the historic day that marks India's freedom from the stranglehold of the British Raj. India attained independence and broke free from British colonialism after centuries of struggle and countless sacrifices made by our freedom fighters. All the patriotic hearts rejoiced at seeing India becoming a sovereign nation and the triumph of hundreds and thousands of martyred souls. It was the birth of a new nation and a new beginning. The dream of India's awakening from its enforced slumber to heaven of freedom was sublimely penned in a poem titled Where the Mind is Without Fear, composed by Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore in the early 1900s, when India was struggling for independence from the British rule. It was not only about ending of foreign rule, but searching for the real self, for the nirvana of a resurgent nation. The poem encompasses the true meaning of freedom and is a contemplation of a state of being, a place and time, and a way of living into which the author, Tagore, wishes his country, India, would awaken. Gurudev envisions India as a country where the people live without any kind of fear or oppression and hold their head high with pride, dignity, and self-reliance.
Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habits, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake.
Once again, let us reaffirm Gurudev's idea of freedom not only from the perspective of a nation, but also as an individual self.
যেথা ভয় শূন্য উচ্চ যেথা শির.
Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. The first line of the poem, a part of which is the title itself, holds a very significant meaning. The poet envisions India as a country where the people's mind are free from fear and they live a dignified life. He believes that freedom can be attained only when the mind is fearless and the head is held high with respect and dignity. The mind can be free from fear when one is in a capacity to express his thoughts freely, without thinking of any repercussions.
જ્યાં જ્ઞાન સ્વતંત્ર છે.
Where knowledge is free. Tagore calls for an absolute freedom and suggests that freedom to acquire knowledge and be self-reliant cannot be restricted. Everyone should have free access to knowledge. It should not be restricted to some portions of the society based on their class or caste. Tagore means to suggest that there can be a realm where comprehension and understanding is open to all without any barriers.
येतिनो दुनिया ज़ाती मफादा बाबत लॉकडाउन गोशन मंज तकसीम करना आमुच्छो.
Where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls. Tagore speaks about the various evils that divide the society like caste, creed, race, religion, and many such factors. The poet envisions of a free state of being above from all the superstitious beliefs that result in the division of the society.
எங்கே வாய் சொற்கள் மெய்நெறிகளின் அடிப்படையில் இருந்து வெளிப்படையாய் வருகின்றனவோ,
where words come out from the depths of truth. Gurudev believed that a strong nation is one where the words of truth come out from the depths of the hearts of its people and must be spoken out courageously in the open for the world to hear. One should speak the utmost truth and live their lives with honesty, because that is one of the essential qualities of a progressive nation.
जहां अथक प्रयास अपनी बाहें पूर्णता की ओर बढ़ाते हैं,
where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection. Gurudev asserts that people should work for perfection in the clear light of reason, leaving aside all superstitious rituals, beliefs, and narrow-mindedness. It should be a nation where everyone is free to toil and work hard for anything they desire for their own and for the good of the nation. Everyone is encouraged to strive tirelessly till they attain full satisfaction in reaching their goals. He believes that the goals of any individual should be to attain perfection, which will eventually come only if one strives for it tirelessly.
जिथे निर्मळ तर्क प्रवाह नसेल मार्ग चुकलेल्या निष्क्रियतेच्या शुष्क वाळवंटी वाळूत.
Where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit. Tagore feels that a nation must be free from blind superstitious habits of thought and action, where people's mind should not dwell in the mistakes of the past nor be possessed by it. On the other hand, they should be led by the power of reasoning by applying logical thoughts and actions.
ചിന്താ കർമ്മങ്ങളിലേക്ക് അവിടുത്താൽ ആനയിക്കപ്പെടുന്നു. ആ ഒരു സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യത്തിൻ ആരാമത്തിലേക്ക് എൻ രക്ഷിതാവേ എന്റെ നാടിനെ ഉണർത്തിയിടണമേ. എൻ രക്ഷിതാവേ എന്റെ നാടിനെ ഉണർത്തിയിടണമേ.
Where the mind is led forward by thee, into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Tagore's only prayer to the Supreme Ultimate is leading the nation to such an ideal state of heaven. It is only by the universality of outlook and an abiding passion for the realization of great human ideals that a nation will achieve its true freedom. This way alone, the country will realize its destiny. As India's democracy continues to mature, an increasingly important indicator of its growth, apart from political and regional development, is the freedom of the self from the shackles of ignorance and socio-economic exploitation. Whichever way we choose to consider this subject, we must remember that our collective voices contribute to the making of our destiny. It is upon us to value the freedom we enjoy and remember the sacrifices we made to attain it and work perennially to preserve it.
मुखड़े
On the occasion of India's 74th Independence Day, you were listening to the idea of freedom as envisaged by Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore in his poem Where the Mind is Without Fear. This program came to you from the General Overseas Service of All India Radio.
You are tuned to the General Overseas Service of All India Radio. We now bring you today's commentary. Pakistan's ties with the Arab world comes under strain. It is scripted by Dr. Ashok Behudia, Senior Fellow and Coordinator, South Asia Center, Manohar Parrikar, Institute for Defence Studies and Analysis, and it is read by Kaushik Rai. On the first anniversary of the revocation of Article 370 by India, Pakistan Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi took Saudi Arabia to task in a television interview for not obliging Pakistan over the issue of organizing a meeting of the Council of Organization of Islamic Cooperation Foreign Ministers (CFM) on Kashmir in early February 2020. Qureshi had stated in his interview with a TV channel that unless the OIC convened CFM meeting on Kashmir, Pakistan would be compelled to convene a meeting of Islamic countries that are ready to stand with it on the issue of Kashmir and support the oppressed Kashmiri Muslims. He allowed himself to be swayed by emotions to cross the line when he said, "Today, Pakistanis who are always ready to sacrifice their lives for Makkah and Medina need Saudi Arabia to play a leading role on the Kashmir issue. If they are not willing to play that role, then I will ask Prime Minister Imran Khan to go ahead with or without Saudi Arabia." Saudi Arabia was not the only country Qureshi was upset with. He also expressed his consternation with the United Arab Emirates for not having supported Pakistan on the issue of Kashmir. Pakistan's expression of dismay is significant. Last year, Pakistan had skipped the Kuala Lumpur Summit of Islamic Countries, which was attended, among others, by the Emir of Qatar, the Turkish President Erdogan, and Iranian President Hassan Rouhani. Turkey was the first to note that Pakistan had done it under Saudi pressure. Turkish official media reported that the Saudis had threatened Pakistan to send back 4 million Pakistani workers and replace them with Bangladeshis. However, officially, Pakistan had stated that it would take time to address the concerns of major Muslim countries regarding possible divisions in the Ummah, and it would continue to work for unity of the Ummah. It was an irony that once claiming itself to be the upholder of the unity, Pakistan is now threatening to divide the Ummah on the issue of Kashmir. It betrays a sense of frustration and desperation on Islamabad's part at not being able to muster critical international support for its agenda. What must have further irked Pakistan perhaps was the Saudi decision to quietly stop supply of oil on deferred payment basis since May 2020. Saudi Arabia had come to Pakistan's rescue in 2018 when it had agreed to provide $3.2 billion worth of oil on deferred payments per annum as part of its $6.2 billion package to help Pakistan tide over its balance of payment crisis. The balance of $3 billion was delivered as a cash loan. Saudis had activated the deferred payment facility for 3 years from 1st July 2019, and the agreement signed in May had come up for renewal this year. However, the Saudis, visibly upset at Pakistan's behavior, have possibly discontinued the arrangement. Among other things, Pakistan's tilt towards Turkey, Malaysia and Iran, as also its growing economic and strategic dependence on China, might have annoyed the Saudis. Saudi retribution has followed Qureshi's bluster. Pakistan was reportedly asked to pay back the loan, and as per reports, Pakistan has already paid $1 billion by borrowing from China at a lower rate of interest. Pakistan was reportedly paying 3.2% interest on the loan, and it has now arranged $1 billion loan from the State Administration Foreign Exchange SAFE of China at the London interbank offered rate LIBOR plus 1%, which is currently comes to around 1.18%. Pakistan may have to arrange similar easy loans to pay up the rest of the $2 billion to Saudi Arabia. Pakistan's other benefactor UAE has also gone back on its promise to help Pakistan financially. In December 2018, taking cue from Saudi Arabia, it had announced a $6.2 billion package for Pakistan, which included $3.2 billion in oil facility. However, later it reduced its financial assistance to $2 billion and the deferred payments plan was abandoned. Pakistan's disillusionment with the Arab countries look complete as commentators in the Pakistani media go on urging leaders of Islamic countries to support Pakistan. It remains to be seen whether Pakistan's support from the Arab world has waned. Nevertheless, the loss of the Saudi crutch is certain to add to Pakistan's fiscal worries in the coming days. That was today's commentary. Pakistan's ties with the Arab world comes under strain. It was scripted by Dr. Ashok Behuria, Senior Fellow and Coordinator, South Asia Center, Manohar Parrikar, Institute for Defense Studies and Analysis. It was read by Kaushik Rai. This broadcast came to you from the General Overseas Service of All India Radio.
This broadcast came to you from the digital channel of the General Overseas Service of All India Radio.